am a werewolf with my own family and life. I love my cultural background and my dream of becoming a doctor for the werewolf pack. Chapter 1: Different Worlds. I closed the book with a soft thud, my heart fluttering at the final scene. The protagonist's passionate kiss lingered in my mind, and I found myself daydreaming about a similar moment. This was like me at all. I, Laxmi Kapoor, had never been one to lose myself in romantic fantasies, but ever since last week, I'd been devouring these unrealistic love stories, imagining myself as the heroine in each one. And in every scenario, the dashing hero took on the face of Cade Reynolds, the boy who had captured my heart 4 years ago. As I lay on my bed, surrounded by a small fortress of romance novels, my mother's voice echoed up the stairs. "Laxmi, do you want to come grocery shopping with me?" "No, Mom," I called back, not quite ready to leave my cocoon of romantic bliss. At 19, I was proud of my Indian heritage, which was evident in my name. But I was more than just my cultural background. I was also a werewolf, a fact that added an extra layer of complexity to my life. Our home in the Black Moon Pack territory was a haven of familiarity and comfort. I lived with my parents, Raj and Priya, who had been mated for nearly 3 decades. My older brother Dev and his mate Arya, both 24, were frequent visitors, adding to the warm family atmosphere. Growing up in the Black Moon Pack had been wonderful. The close-knit community felt like an extended family, with everyone knowing each other. It was here that I discovered my passion for healing, and I was now training to become a pack doctor. I smiled, remembering the teasing I endured when I first expressed my career aspirations. Some pack members had made assumptions based on stereotypes about my Indian heritage, suggesting that being a doctor was the perfect career for me. While it used to bother me, I had learned to embrace both my cultural background and my chosen path, recognizing that my determination and ambition were uniquely my own. My thoughts swirled like a tempest, centered on Cade Reynolds, our pack's beta. He and Darius Ward, our alpha, had been away for long years of intensive training, and today marked their return. The anticipation in the air was palpable, like electricity before a storm. I vividly recalled the eve of their departure. Cade, with those mesmerizing blue eyes that seemed to hold the depths of the ocean, approached me. His words, "Wait for me," still echoed in my ears, though I was merely 15 then. My heart knew with unwavering certainty that I would. Cade had captured my heart entirely. The memory of our first kiss lingered, a ghost of a touch that still sent shivers down my spine. Most wolves discover their mates at 18, and when that milestone passed without Cade's presence or my finding a mate, I became convinced that fate had bound us together. With a groan, I peeled myself from the comfort of my bed and gravitated towards my overflowing bookshelf. Reading had always been my escape, a way to quiet the cacophony of my thoughts. My fingers danced across the spines, finally settling on a tome detailing the history of humans, werewolves, and Lycans. It was a romantic tale, but rather a collection of facts exactly what I needed to ground myself. Settling back into bed, I delved into the pages. The peaceful coexistence of humans, werewolves, and Lycans stretched back millennia. The Lycans, with their superior strength and power, ruled over all, including us werewolves. Our royal family, comprised entirely of Lycans, exuded an aura of authority that never failed to intimidate me. As I skimmed through accounts of great battles and alliances, I found myself drawn to the chapter that always fascinated me, Lycan's mates. These individuals held immeasurable value to Lycans. Legend spoke of Lycans driven to destructive rampages by the loss of their mates, necessitating a specialized army to contain such situations. Unlike werewolves, Lycans were bound to a single mate for life, unable to mark or mate anew should tragedy strike. This stark difference between our kinds never ceased to intrigue me. We werewolves had the chance to find happiness again, to mark and mate anew if fate dealt us a cruel hand. But for Lycans, their mate was their one and only, forever. That's why a Lycan's mate was so precious. and it also made Lycans extremely loyal. As I continued reading, I came across the aging part. Lycans stop aging at 20. Many still celebrate their birthdays, but they technically are still 20. They can live for hundreds of years. Before our current king, the previous king ruled for 500 years before handing the reins to his son. It is said that he went traveling with his mate, and no one has heard from them since. Us werewolves also live for a long time, but not as long as Lycans. We just age slowly. It also said how if a Lycan's mate is a human or a werewolf, their body adjusts to become a Lycan. They become stronger and more powerful and are considered to be a Lycan. The bit always freaked me out, but I knew it to be true. After all, my best friend was now a Lycan. Even though I never admitted it to her, I always felt intimidated by her. She changed, and that scared me. Since the book was new, it failed to mention our new king, Apollo Dimitri Gray. Apparently everyone called him Dimitri, and only those close enough to him were allowed to call him Apollo. Our king was strange. He took over the throne with no mate by his side, which was unheard of. All the Lycan kings before him had found their mates before becoming king. He also hated pictures. Apparently there were only 3 of him. One when he was born, another when his siblings were born, and the last one when he took over the throne. I was only a child when he took over the throne. It has been 10 years. No one really knows the king's real age, and I suspect that he probably doesn't tell anyone either. A familiar ringtone started playing, and I rolled over to grab my phone, which was on charge. Seeing the name flash up on the screen, I smiled and quickly answered. Eleanor Rich, Eleanor Ross. Long time no speak. I teased. Laxmi Kapoor. Stop teasing me. You know I have been busy. My best friend Eleanor Wind. Have you really been busy? Or has Reese been keeping you trapped away? I continued to tease. Eleanor laughed. You are horrible. You know I have been. After all, the doll, Lycan Ball is coming up. Aren't you excited? Oh yes, the Lycan Ball. The kingdom's way to ensure that all packs get to see the palace and meet the king. I hated it. This was our pack's second time being picked to go, but my first time actually going. I have always hated dances. School dances. Wedding receptions. I don't know why, because I love dressing up. I have a feeling that the reason I hated the Lycan Ball, even though I had never been, was because I was intimidated by the Lycans. The first time we got picked, I was struck down by an awful case of the flu. My grandparents flew from Canada, where they live, to come look after me while the rest of my family went. That's how my best friend met her Lycan mate, Reese. She's the one I mentioned before. Elena met Reese at the ball 4 years ago, and since then, she was changed a lot. Don't get me wrong. I was very happy when she rang and told me, even if I was puking my guts out. But a part of me knew I would lose my best friend. After all, she was a Lycan now, and they had very important roles and responsibilities. Her mate, Reese Miles S., was head of the Warriors, so Eleanor remained busy all the time. Since she loved organizing so much, she was in charge of organizing important events, and the Lycan Ball was the most important one Elle would ever organize. Oh yes, I am so looking forward to it. I sarcastically replied, well, the good thing is you'll get to see me. Eleanor cried, cheering me up. That's true. We haven't seen each other in a year. Not since you came back home to see your little nephew. I sighed. I miss you too. I wish I could come back more often. Eleanor also sighed. You're busy. I get it. Thank God for technology, though. We can always talk even if we are together. I said. That's so true. Oh, Laxmi. I just can't wait to see you. You leave tomorrow, right? Eleanor asked. Yet, tomorrow. Bright and early. I sighed. Stop sighing. At least try and be a little excited. Eleanor complained. Okay. Sorry. I will try. I laughed. Well, I have to go now. Duty calls. But I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Eleanor replied. See you tomorrow, I said, hanging up. It was long before my mom came into my room with Arya, carrying a bag. I knew what was in there, my dress for the ball. Lakshmi, you need to pack. You know we leave early tomorrow, Mom said, shaking her head at me. Groaning, Arya laughed and said, "It'll help her pack." Mom nodded and left. Arya dragged me out of bed and helped me pack. It was a distraction from thinking about Cade. Once we were done, I asked Arya, "So any news on when Cade and Darius will be back? Why?" "Impatient. Are we?" Arya chuckled. "No, I'm just curious. That's all." I rolled my eyes. Arya was the only one in my pack who knew that Cade kissed me and I loved him. Everyone else just thought I had a crush on him. I didn't want my parents to know, and especially not my brother. He wouldn't take the news very well, but I knew I could trust Arya. Well, they should be here very soon. "Are you nervous?" Arya asked. A little. I just can't wait to see him," I admitted. Arya and I sat on my bed and chatted for a while. I loved the fact that I could open up to Arya. She was basically my sister. Dev said that he loved seeing that his sister and mate had an amazing relationship. I was just lucky Arya was so cool. After Elena left, I felt lonely, but Arya was always there for me. Before long, my werewolf hearing picked up the sound of cars coming down the path. I jumped up, my heart beating fast as nerves started to get to me. It was finally time. I was going to see Cade after 4 years. Arya held my hand as we walked down together. Did I look okay? I ran my hands through my hair, and Arya shook her head. Deep breath. Lakshmi, you've got this. It's okay. Luckily, our house was near the pack house, where the Alpha and Beta lived with their families. Dev was waiting for us downstairs and held Arya's hand. "Let's go and see our Alpha and Beta." Arya never let go of my hand as we walked the short distance to where the cars were already parked. My heart was beating so fast. I just wanted to see Cade. We walked up to the cars, and my wolf was restless. Was that the sign I had been looking for? My mate was here. My dreams were coming true. Cade would step out of that car, and he would know we are mates. Hearing the car door open, my head snapped to the sound. First, our Alpha, Darius Ward, got out. He hadn't changed a bit. Well, except he got muscular. His green eyes twinkled with mischief and happiness. Yep, the same old Darius. He brushed some of his blonde hair out of his face before hugging his parents and younger brother. I watched as he said hello to everyone before stopping at me. I was lucky that the future Alpha wanted to be my friend. Throughout school, Darius was always there for me, and I couldn't thank him enough. I considered him to be one of my best friends, along with Elena. A contagious smile took over his face, and I found myself smiling also. The next thing I know, Darius has picked me up and spun me around, causing the adults to laugh. "Lakshmi, oh how I have missed you. You've changed quite a bit." "Puberty," Darius teased. I rolled my eyes and hugged him. "It's good to see you too. Darius, you haven't changed at all. Don't worry. Sometimes people are late bloomers." I joked, earning a laugh from Darius' parents. Darius smiled and hugged me again. "I really did miss you." Smiley. "I missed you too." Grinning at Darius the tray for me, which he hadn't forgotten. Hearing the car door open, I glanced over Darius' shoulders to see a familiar body get out of the car. His back was facing me, so he didn't know I was standing behind him. I wanted to see his blue eyes full of love and adoration for me. Darius moved out of the way and stood by my side, which I thought was surely he should have continued saying hello to everyone. Maybe he wanted to see the moment Cade and I acknowledged each other as mates. Yes, that must be it. My wolf continued to pace, fueling my thoughts that Cade was indeed my mate. I watched as his light brown hair blew in the wind. His back was still turned to me. I just wanted him to turn around. What was he waiting for? Just as I thought he was about to turn around, and that magical moment I had dreamed about would happen. Cade turned back to the car and held his hand out. My heart stopped as I saw a manicured hand reach for Cade's. The smile fell off my face and was replaced with a look of betrayal. Chapter 2. Darius held my hand, and now I realized why he stood by my side. He knew about Cade and I kissing. He knew about my crush on Cade, and he knew that I would be crushed when I saw him. My eyes didn't leave Cade's back as he helped a stunning girl out of the car. One look at them both and you knew they were mates. My heart felt like it just shattered into millions of pieces. My wolf pacing wasn't because of Cade being my mate, but because Cade had a mate. There was a big difference. Tears threatened to fall, but I refused to let them. Cade cowed and see how much this affected me. I turned to look at Darius, who had a guilty look on his face. I smiled sadly at him and shook my head. It wasn't his fault. It was Cade's, really. You can't pick your mate. Although this is the one time that I wish that you could. Seeing the person you pined for taking his mate around, introducing her was like a stab in the gut. A waste of my 4 years. Sitting and waiting like a complete and utter idiot for him. Cade was making his way down the line with his mate. The smile on his face was another blow for me. I wish he had that smile when he looked at me, but that smile was reserved for his mate. And that was me. I let go of Darius' hand and wiped my sweaty palms on my jeans. Cade was introducing his mate to Dev and Daria. It was me next. I couldn't let him see how upset I was. Instead, I would be happy for him. Like everyone else. Hopefully, I managed to get through this introduction without crying. I took a deep breath as Cade moved down to me. Suddenly, the memories of us 4 years ago flashed before my eyes. His gorgeous smile. That amazing kiss. His promises. Closing my eyes, I snapped out of my daydream. When I opened them, Cade was smiling at me. Not like he used to. Just a friendly smile. Like he had done with everyone else. Blacks me. I'd like you to meet my mate, Lana Reed. Cade gestured to his mate. It's very nice to meet you, Lana. Good luck taming this one. I joked. Lana laughed and said, I like you. You're funny. Hopefully we can hang out more. I need more female friends. My gut twisted at her words. She was so nice. That made it more difficult to hate her. Of course. I would love to hang out with you. I smiled. Damn me for being too polite. Why, Cade and I had just told her that I didn't want to hang out with her. Lana smiled back. And the couple moved down the line. Darius had left. And I was left standing there with only my thoughts. Arya gently touched my shoulder, causing me to jump. I looked at her to see the sadness in her eyes. I sighed and shook my head. I didn't want to talk, and I didn't want the sympathy. I just wanted to sit in my room and cry, but I couldn't leave just yet. Instead of my eyes following Cade and Lana, I focused on Darius, who was currently talking to the council members. Once he was finished talking to the council members, he turned to look at me, probably sensing my gaze, which was firmly locked on him. He came over to me and whispered, Go home, Laxmi. I give you permission. Don't stand here while you are breaking. You need to go home. I looked at him with tears in my eyes and whispered brokenly, Why didn't you tell me? Darius looked upset. He wiped the straight air that had escaped. Oh, Smiley. I didn't know how to. I didn't want to tell you over the phone or through a letter. I wanted to tell you in person, but I didn't get a chance to. I am so sorry. Sniffling, I sighed. It was your fault. I have to move on, but I also need some time to come to terms with this. Darius nodded his head, understanding what I was saying. He kissed my forehead and I turned around, heading back to my house. I heard Darius tell my family and everyone that he let me go home because I was tired. As soon as I got in my house, I rushed upstairs and got changed into comfy clothes. I used to wear Cade's shirt every night to bed, but I got it out of my cupboard and chucked it straight in the bin. I shouldn't wear it anymore. I lost all right to Cade when he found his mate. His mate. My heart broke even more, if that was even possible. Collapsing on my bed, I let the tears fall. I let them soak my pillow and I let myself cry. All this heartbreak was too much for me. After all this time of wanting a mate, wanting what my parents had, I found myself not wanting a mate. I didn't want someone to love me. I was broken. I didn't want the pain of having a mate. Mates were meant to be this magical thing, and I used to believe in it wholeheartedly, but now I don't. Mate cause pain and sadness. Who wants that? The tears didn't stop as my family came home. I heard my mom stop outside my door, and I hoped she wouldn't come in. I held my breath to stop my sobs. If Mom heard me cry, she wouldn't even hesitate to come in my room. Priya, let her sleep. We have an early start tomorrow. My dad's voice said quietly. I heard the footsteps fade away and I glanced up at my ceiling. Dad was right. We had an early start tomorrow. I needed to get some sleep. Closing my eyes, I let myself get lost in my world of dreams. A loud buzzing made me groan as I rolled over and turned off my phone alarm. Today was the day of the Lycan ball. I was dreading it because I knew I would be tired. Hopefully I could fall asleep in the car, forcing myself out of bed. I got dressed and cringed when I saw the bags under my eyes. Clearly last night was not the night that I was going to get a good night's sleep. Sighing, I got ready and put some makeup on to look a little more alive. When I came downstairs, my parents were drinking their cups of tea and Dev and Daria were eating breakfast. Suddenly, four pairs of eyes turned to look at me and I saw the same thing in them. Sympathy. I didn't want their sympathy. All I really wanted was to lie in bed and cry all day. But I knew that was going to happen. I needed to prove to Cade and to myself that I was strong. My dad handed me a cup of coffee and I smiled. Mom and Arya talked about how amazing the ball were to me since this was my first time. I was grateful for the distraction. Once we had eaten, it was time to hit the road. I got into the car and immediately blasted my music out of my headphones and rested my head against the cool glass. Dad and Mom left me alone as I let the music take me into my own world. Before long, sleep took over, giving my body a much-needed break. Relax me. Wake up. My mom gently shook me. I rubbed the sleep from my eyes and realized we were at a service station. Stretching my arms, I got out of the car. Arya and Dev got out of their car and waved to me. Go and get something to eat and make sure you go to the toilet. We still have 2 hours left, Mom told me, handing me some cash. Sighing, I walked into a shop to get some food. I think I had a permanent scowl etched on my face, because everyone looked at me but then quickly looked away. Smiley, or should I say scowl-eye? Why the long face? Darius ruffled my hair. Why the hair? I complained, pushing Darius away and fixing my hair, because I haven't been able to do that for years and your reaction is priceless. As always, Darius chuckled, rolling my eyes. I trailed round the shop but stopped in my tracks when I heard the sickeningly sweet laugh of Lana. Oh great, oh great. The last thing I needed was to see Lana and Cade. Come on, Smiley. Let's quickly grab some food, Darius said softly, taking me in the other direction of the shop. I picked up a wrap along with a chocolate bar and a bottle of water. As I was standing in the queue, here's that laugh again. They were behind me. Deep breath flax me. Deep breaths. All you need to do is pay and leave. Don't pay them any attention, I told myself. I put my items down on the counter and rolled my eyes as I heard Lana laugh yet again. What the hell was Cade saying to her? Actually, scrap that. I didn't want to know. After I paid, I rushed out of the shop desperately needing fresh air. I wanted to wait for Darius, but I also didn't want to risk running into Cade and Lana. Decisions. Obviously, I went with the best option, which was to go to the car and avoid seeing Cade and Lana. Luckily, Dad was already in the car. He smiled as I climbed into the back seat. I found myself looking outside the window and I saw Cade and Lana. Even just one glance at them, they looked like that lovey-dovey couple that everyone hates. The ones who are always showing PDA and annoying the heck out of everyone. Cade had his arm over Lana's shoulder and was kissing down her neck. In public. If I could see, then everyone else could as well. Lana seemed to be enjoying it though. I made a face and at the same time made eye contact with Darius, who was gagging behind them. That caused me to laugh. He smiled at me seeing me laugh and pretended to cut his throat. At least I knew I was the only one who hated seeing this. Once Mom was back in the car, Dad told us we had just under 2 hours left. It was already 11, so we would be there about 1 ish. As it started driving, I spent the first hour eating my food and my book that I had packed. No more romance novels for me. This was a thrilling mystery book. Definitely more up my alley. The second hour, I fell asleep yet again. It was probably a good thing. I needed sleep before the Lycan ball tonight. Mom woke me up when we arrived at the hotel. Darius came over to our car and grinned when he saw me rubbing the sleep from my eyes. Sleeping Beauty finally awakens, he says, handing me his hand. I took his hand and said, whatever. I need. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to survive tonight. I also needed sleep, but no, I had to do the damn drive here. He complained as we walked into the hotel reception. I laughed at Darius' face and said, well, as a witch. Get some sleep when we check in. So smiley. Tonight. Be my date to the Lycan ball. I can't imagine going with anyone else. You're the oxygen I breathe. But Darius dramatically said. I playfully hit him. Okay, Mr. Dramatic. Tone it down. I guess I will go with you. Good. If you said no, I would have just forced you anyway. Darius winked at me and went to where his parents were checking in. I giggled at how silly he was. Darius was doing a good job at distracting me though, and I knew that was why he was acting more sillier than usual. As I walked over to my parents, my ears owned unintentionally on Cade and Lana's conversation. I can't wait till we get our room. I just want to tear these clothes off of you. Cade said. You can't say that. Everyone can hear you. Lana exclaimed. Let them hear. Let them hear. I don't care. I just want to show you off tonight at the ball. Cade replied, shaking my head. I focused on anything else. I felt like I intruded on their private conversation. But it still stung. Cade clearly didn't remember what happened 4 years ago. Or he doesn't care. He's happy and he's moved on. My plan was to go with Cade tonight because in my dream world, I thought we would be mates. I would be in the position Lana was in, but I wasn't. The sooner I realized this, the better it would be for me. Sighing, I made my way over to my parents, who handed me my room key. Thank God I had my own room because right now I was trying so hard not to let the tears fall. Dad and Mom were on a different floor to me, so I headed off. Mom warned me to start getting ready at 4 because the cars would be here at 7 to pick us up. Arya and Dev were on the same floor as my parents, so I was alone on this floor. Luck was finally on my side as Cade and Lana were not on my floor. Arya messaged me just as I got into my room and said they were on her floor. Darius messaged me asking me what floor I was on, and of course he was on my floor. I quickly unpacked and plugged my phone into charge. The images of Cade and Lana haunted me. It was 2 p.m. I had to do something before my thoughts consumed me. I walked into the bathroom and stripped, turning the shower on. When I got into the hot shower, the tears started falling. They wouldn't stop and I decided to just let them fall. I needed to get this out of my system. I let it drown my tears and sorrow. Chapter 3. When I finally decided to get out of the shower, my phone was ringing, but I made the decision to ignore it. Instead, I got ready in my comfy clothes and brushed my freshly washed hair. A knock at my door made me jump. Who was there? Sighing, I walked over and looked through the peephole. It was only Arya. I opened the door and was crushed in hug. I relaxed in Arya's embrace and hugged her back. I didn't realize how badly I needed this hug. I'm so sorry, Laxmi. I wanted to talk to you yesterday, but I didn't want to hurt you even more. I just want you to know that you are so strong, and I am so proud of you for not making a scene but just accepting it. It must be hard for you, Arya said, still hugging me. Thanks for being there for me, Arya, and giving me the time and space I needed. So what brings you here? My brother annoying you? I teased. Arya laughed and replied, No, not today. He is under strict instructions not to piss me off today. I don't want to be turning up to the Lycan ball with a mate when I am pissed at him. Actually, there is another reason I am here. I rose my eyebrows in question and Arya sat down on my bed and patted the space next to her. I sat down and looked at her in confusion. It isn't anything bad. Mom just wanted me to remind you about something important. I knew you probably forget after everything. Remember tonight we aren't the only pack at the ball. There's another important pack coming. Your cousin's pack. I gasped. How could I have forgotten? My dad had a younger sister who found her mate in another pack. So she moved there. They have twin daughters. My cousins. I am very close to them both and they are only a year younger than me. Last time I saw them was Christmas last year. I couldn't wait for the ball. All thoughts of Cade flew out of my head. Now I was super excited to see my cousins again. Luna and Stella Rivers. Identical twins who were my best friends during my childhood. Oh, how I have missed them. Seeing the smile on my face. Arya said, I love that smile. I knew you would be happy when I told you this. Now you get some rest before getting ready. After saying goodbye to Arya, I lay on my bed and decided to finish my book I was reading in the car. I had about 40 minutes before I needed to start getting ready and that was enough time for me to finish my book. So I was sucked into the world of my mystery book. When I finally finished reading, I stretched and reached over to my phone, which was on charge still. I had a few messages from Elena saying she was excited to see me and from Luna and Stella also saying they couldn't wait to see me. After responding to the messages, I scrolled through Instagram as I had time. Before long, I had to leave the warm, comfy bed and begin the tedious process of getting ready. My hair was the first thing I tackled as it was still wet. So after drying it, I decided to curl it. But before that, I put on my dress. It was a maroon-colored dress that came just above my knees. It was one of those dresses that was shorter at the front and longer at the back. My dress was also off the shoulder. I loved it because it was simple but also suited me. Then I got started on my hair, which was relatively long and was easy to curl. Once it was curled, I decided to do a half-up, half-down hairstyle. Looking in the mirror, I was pleased with the way my hair turned out. Now it was time for the longest part. Makeup. Sitting down on the hotel desk, I pulled out all my makeup I had bought and my trusty mirror, which I always use. 30 minutes later, my makeup was finished, and I was pleased with it. I decided to keep it simple because all out, although I had put on false lashes, which I rarely do. Next stage was jewelry. I wore simple earrings and all my piercings. Yes, I do have a few piercings. My necklace was simple gold chain with a heart-shaped pendant. My grandparents got it for me when I turned 16. I wore my charm bracelet that I got when I was 18 from my parents and I was good to go. Obviously, before I left, I had to take some pictures, but then I realized I was running late. Quickly putting on my heels and packing a little bag with all the necessary things in, I left my room. Mom had texted and told me to come to her room, so that's where I headed. As soon as Mom opened the door, she gasped, "Oh, my baby looks so gorgeous." I laughed and thanked her as I walked into my parents' room. Dad smiled and told me I looked like a princess, and Arya corrected him, saying I looked like a queen. I rolled my eyes at that comment. Dev announced that he would have to keep an eye on me because apparently the whole male population would try and hit on me. Arya hit him and said to loosen up. After Dev got told off by Arya for being too overprotective, we all took some pictures and headed downstairs. Darius was standing in the lobby and smirked when he saw me. "Wow, Smiley. Who knew you could clean up nicely? Wow, who knew you were such a Oh, that's right. Everyone," I teased. Darius rolled his eyes, causing me to laugh. On the insistence of all the parents, we have photos taken. Darius made me take silly photos, saying that it would look perfect on his Instagram. I said his 3 followers would really appreciate it. Darius was the best at getting me back to my normal self. Us joking and insulting each other was part of our friendship. The best thing was, I was so busy having fun that I didn't even notice Cade and Lana standing there. It was only when we had to leave and the cars turned up did I realize they were standing there the whole time. I glanced at Cade, who was actually looking at me. Before, I would have melted seeing him look at me, but today, I just smiled and turned back round. Darius held my hand as we got into the car. Since Darius was the alpha, the car we were riding in was just for him and his beta. Luckily, I sat in the front with Darius while Cade and Lana were in the back. The palace was only 15 minutes away. I could handle a car journey with Cade. As soon as the car started moving, Cade and Lana started eating each other's faces off. The noises they made were awful. I looked at Darius, who had an angry look on his face. Cade, I don't appreciate you and your mate making all those noises. I am trying to have a conversation here, so shut it, Darius said sternly. The kissing stopped immediately. I had never heard Darius be so serious, but I was actually glad he was. Those noises were going to make me be sick. Anyway, Smiley, you better not leave my side tonight. I know that unmated males would love to get with you. Darius said. Well, Dev said something like that. I am not going to go with any unmated male anyway. I want to spend time with Eleanor and my cousins. Priorities, I replied. That's my Smiley. Always wants to be with friends and family, Darius said proudly. Hey, what if you find your mate? I mean, there are going to be loads of people there. Your mate might be among them, I asked, looking at how Darius' eyes lit up when I mentioned the word mate. Yeah, maybe. Wouldn't that be something? Darius replied. I would have to warn her though how crazy you are and how you have no friends. I joked. Whatever you say, Smiley. I know you love me. Darius winked. We didn't get to talk for much longer as we arrived at the palace. Darius helped me get out and we waited for our families to arrive as well. When everyone arrived, we had to go through strict security. After that was over, I gasped as we entered the palace. It was gorgeous. The high ceilings with the intricate designs. The decorations all suited the color scheme of the place. Eleanor had done an amazing job. Laxmi, Eleanor's voice traveled through the crowds. I laughed as she rushed over to me and engulfed me in a massive hug. Hey Eleanor, you think you can let go now? You're crushing me, I asked. Eleanor let go immediately and apologized. I teased her, saying, someone clearly doesn't know her own strength. That was when Reese made his presence known. That's because she trains with me every day. She is an amazing fighter, he boasted. I rolled my eyes as Reese gave me a friendly hug. Of course, you'd say she's an amazing fighter. She is your mate. I laughed. Reese laughed and shook Darius' hand. After introducing himself, Eleanor noticed Cade and Lana walk past us and her eyes suddenly snapped to mine. I shook my head and her eyes turned cold. Whatever. My best friend looks absolutely stunning. She is definitely the prettiest here, Eleanor gushed. I knew she said it louder than needed. One, because I know my best friend, and two, because Cade turned around and Eleanor had a satisfied smile on her face. I shook my head at her. She would never change. Like Eleanor, not. Well, not as beautiful as you. Someone is having a very hard time keeping his eyes off of you, I teased. Eleanor didn't get a chance to react as Darius handed us both drinks and we engaged in small talk. It must have been about 10 minutes later when two very familiar voices shouted my name, and Darius whipped his head around so fast, saying the word I loathed. Mate. Chapter for series. Luna and Stella were both standing there with looks of shock on their faces. Luna turned to hurt Win with a smirk. I looked at Darius and then at Stella and smiled. I silently thanked whoever is responsible for the pairing of mates. My best friend deserved an amazing mate, and he got one. And my cousin got lucky with Darius. When I glanced at them both, they were still just staring at each other. Sighing, I pushed Darius towards Stella. He clearly needed a push. Darius glared at me, and I laughed and pointed toward my cousin. Luna also gave Stella a little push before coming over to me. The new mates needed a little privacy, wife seemed. Luna hugged me, and I told her she looked beautiful. Our moment was interrupted by Eleanor and Reese. Well, that is a nice surprise, Sophie said. I nodded and smiled. I was very happy that Darius and Stella were mates. When I turned around, they were chatting and smiling. Darius held Stella's hand, and they made such a cute couple. Maybe I am biased. Well, ladies, I have to leave you. I need to talk to some of the others, Reese said, kissing Elena on the forehead. We waved goodbye to Reese, and Elena dragged Luna and me to a booth. We got comfortable, and Luna started chatting about Pack life. Daily latest due date. She told us how since she and Stella turned 18, the unmated males of her posse, Cade, would follow them around everywhere. They wanted to be mates with one of the twins because their dad was beta of the IR Pack. Luna told us how annoying it was and there was one Pack member that wouldn't take no for an answer. I told Luna they want to come near you today because you are with the Lycans. I glanced at Elena to see her reaction, but I saw the tension in her face. Looking around, I saw many Lycans look tense. They looked like they were trying to be happy, but it was NT working. I could see they were tensed, and I wondered why. Turning back to Elena, I was about to ask her, but the tension I saw before was no longer there. I glared at her happily chatting to Luna. Daily latest due date. After being friends for years, I knew she was hiding the fact that something was wrong. Elena avoided eye contact with me, and then I decided to say something. Okay. What's the matter? Don't say nothing. Elena, because I know you too well, I said, folding my arms. I don't know whether that's a blessing or a curse. Elena muttered. I raised my eyebrows, knowing she was attempting to change the subject. Fine. I'll tell you. Ellen relented. Daily latest due date. Well, there has been a big issue regarding the king. The councils of Alphas voiced their displeasure about our king ruling without a mate. Daily latest due date. This was only 2 days ago, but it was clear they had wanted to say this for a long time. They complained that the king isn't stable because he doesn't have a mate and mates keep each other grounded. No one is there for the king in the way he needs. It is getting so bad that when he king gets angry, he has to be detained. There is a special room where he is chained to stop his Lycan from coming out. Otherwise his Lycan would wreck everything. The council said this was a hazard and it wasn't safe for the kingdom. So they proposed a deal. There is a female Lycan whose mate is a werewolf, but he is dying, since they never marked each other. The council thinks that it is possible for the king and this female to mate. I don't think they know what they are talking about. After all, they are werewolves. Our king would be in a relationship that is forced. His Lycan will never accept anyone, but their mate forcing them to mate could be more dangerous than the council thinks. Elena paused to take a breath. I sat there in shock. The poor king. He is being forced to mate to someone else. Cyrilla, he could have just refused. But couldn't he have just said no? He is the king after all, Luna said, voicing mighty hufts. No, he can't. If he did, then he would be ignoring the majority of the Alphas. And I isn't how a king should be. Allen aside, I just don't understand how Alphas can affect him. Luna shook her head. What annoys me is that the king has mate is out there, and she was born to be QN. This female isn't. All of us Lycans are having a hard time coming to terms with the council's decision. You know, we are very loyal, so we can't grasp the fact that our king will have to mate with other than his actual mate. It is crazy. Elena shook her head. I feel so bad for the king. He is doing all of this just to appease the Alphas. I sighed. For some reason my heart hurt. Elena nodded in agreement. She then briefly mentioned that the king hasn't been out of his room since the arrangement was discussed. Elena said he has the whole floor to himself, but didn't he come out of his room ONC? She suspected he is feeling guilty about the arranged mating because he probably why feels as if he is betraying his mate. Luna said that she wishes he finds his mate soon. Elena said that as one of the reasons these balls are held, so he can find his mate. So far, he has had no luck, which means either his mate is too young, she is a human, or she isn't alive. I hoped fate wasn't too cruel to our poor king that his mate is dead before they even met. We changed the subject pretty quickly and began to talk about other things. Luna mentioned how she wants to find her mate as quickly as possible to stop her pack members lusting after her. Since Stella found her mate, she would now move out and come to my pack. This means Luna will be left with the males of her pack. I knew the girls wanted to ask about Cade, so I told them that I didn't want to talk about it. Hunter had found his mate, and I was moving on with my life. Elena asked if I wanted her to scare Cade, and I laughed but refused. Suddenly the atmosphere changed, the tension was evident. My wolf began to stir, so I looked around. All the Lycans were focused on some Ani walking up the stairs. My wolf began to get angry, and I had no idea why. I grabbed onto the table to street-hop myself from shifting. Never in my life have I felt this angry before, and never have I shifted because my wolf can't control herself and I can't control her. That's her. That's the Lycan female. Savona. Elena whispered. Daily latest due date. I stared as Savona calmly walked up the stairs as if she were oblivious to all the dirty looks and cold stares she was receiving. She was gorgeous though. Her long blonde hair was flowing down her back in with ease, and she wore an amazing black dress that complemented her very well. I felt my wolf stir again, and I took deep breaths to calm my wolf. Lycan stared at Savona in disgust, but she held her head high as she disappeared. She has probably gone to see the king, Eleanor said. Sign. As soon as she said that, my wolf growled. I felt her anger take over me. I knew I needed to get out of here as soon as possible. Quickly, I stood up and, without saying anything, rushed out of the palace into T'Chikular. I ended up sitting on a bench near the gardens. Daily latest due date. Closing my eyes, I tried my best to calm my wolf down. This was not the time nor place to shift. I needed to get my wolf under control. After sitting there for a while, I managed to calm my wolf down. She was not happy with me. I knew that much. But what I didn't know is why she was acting like this. I had a very good relationship with my wolf. I felt like we understood each other and had a good connection. This was out of character for her. Maybe she was feeling upset and angry because of the King-S situation. She might have picked up on the upset of Ellen S. Lycan. They were close before she was a Lycan as well. So maybe that's why she reacted so strongly. I decided it was best if I stayed outside in the cool air. I didn't want to risk my wolf getting angry again. I was sure if I would be able to control my shift if she got angry again. Something just didn't feel right though. My wolf reacting that strongly didn't sit alright with me. What was wrong with me? Chapter 5 series lacks me. What happened? The panicked voice of my best friend called out. I turned to see Elena rushing over to me with a terrified look on her face. She sat down next to me, and I watched as her eyes trailed over me, as if she was checking that I was okay. I have no idea what is wrong with my wolf. She was so angry that I nearly shifted. I had to get out of there. I sighed. What? Your wolf has never been like that, Elena exclaimed. I know. That's why I am so confused. She seems to be calm now though, I replied. Elena looked at me warily. Are you sure you want to go back inside? If your WLF is acting weird, maybe you should go back. I shook my head. No, I can't do that. I came here with Darius, and it looks bad on the pack if I leave. I feel fine now. Standing up, I smiled to prove my point. Elena was still weary as we walked toward the palace. In all honesty, so was I, but I didn't want to worry anyone. Daily latest due date. As soon as we entered the palace, Darius rushed over to me and looked at me to see if I was hurt. Are you okay? You ray not hurt. Darius looked worried. I smiled and shook my head. I am fine. Darius, honestly, I just needed some fresh air. I feel a lot better now. Darius looked at me unconvinced, but nodded his head nevertheless. Elena cleared her throat. I need to go, Darius. The king will be arriving soon. Darius, look after Laxmi. She walked away, and I turned to Darius, who was holding hands with Stella. Mir Cade. Wow, mates with my cousin. Hey, she's my mate. You're Luna now, Darius said smugly. Before she's my Luna. She is my cousin. Dumbass, I replied. Are that as true? I am, Stella responded, smiling at me. Daily lay student. Hey, you were meant to be on my side. Darius protested. Sisters before misters. I stuck my tongue out. You two are arguing like children. Luna laughed. It's your sister. She started it. Darius rolled his eyes. And that is something that a child would say. Take responsibility for your actions. I raised my eyebrows. Whatever. Darius mumbled, causing us three to laugh. I stuck by Darius and my cousins. We didn't spend long talking as the crowds keyed down. I glanced up and saw Lycan standing there, waiting for silence. Daily lay student. Above us was a balcony with 2 thrones. This would be where the king and Savannah would be sitting. For some reason that didn't sit well with me or my wolf. I didn't want to risk my WLF going crazy. So I quickly thought about something else. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming here today. On behalf of the Kingji, I welcome you to the Lycan Ball. I hope this will be an enjoyable evening for you all. Very shortly, the king will be joining us, and he will be accompanied this evening by Savannah Willows. I watched as the man tried not to cringe after saying Savannah's name. My eyes found Elena and Reese, who also looked super uncomfortable. My wolf SUD'd and I stirred again, the anger building up. Oh no, not again. The king was coming. I couldn't afford to lose control. To distract myself, I found Cade and Lana, who were holding hands, and I watched as Cade kissed Lana on the cheek. Even though I hated seeing that, it was the only thing that distracted my wolf, so she calmed down. I can't wait to see the king. Stella gushed one. The king has a certain aura about him that makes everyone want a glance of him, Darius said. A certain aura. Maybe my wolf desperately wanted to see the king then. No, that didn't add up. I was certain I was going to go crazy before this night was over. Daily latest due date. There was no time to dwell on that fact as everyone suddenly went quiet yet a guy in. Guards came and stood on the sides. The king was coming. I clutched Luna's hand just as the announcer shouted, introducing His Royal Highness, King Apollo Dimitri Gray, accompanied by Savannah Willows. I watched in awe as the king confidently walked past the announcer everyone bowed, and I followed suit, my eyes glancing up to see his dark brown hair that was styled to perfection. He nodded to the crowd and sat down on his throne, his cape pulling around him. My gaze snapped to Savannah, who was behind the king. She was about to sit down on the Essicon throne but was stopped by the king. I watched as Savannah's face dropped slightly as the king motioned for a guard. The guard escorted her to stand next to the king instead. Daily latest due date. My eyes found their way to the king's hair again, and I found myself thinking WH8, it would be like to run my hands through it. My eyes widened, and I tore my gaze away. Geez, relax me. Stop thinking dangerous thoughts. It won't end well. Instead, I looked at my shoes. That was a safe bet. Cal didn't do anything to embarrass Miss Aleph by looking at my shoes. OMG, look what the king is doing, Luna whispered to me. No, Laxmi. Don't look. I told myself. Don't do it. ULL regret it. Damn it. I couldn't help myself. I glanced up to see the king sniffing the air. Well, that was not what I expected to see. What in the world was he doing? Savannah was looking at him weirdly, but the king clearly didn't care. In a split second, his hazel eyes connected with mine, and I gasped. Daily latest due date. Holy shit. I had never seen eyes that beautiful before. I was lost in them. The king quickly stood up, causing me to jump out of my trance. Oh no, please tell me this wasn't happening. My wolf was jumping up and down, and I knew exactly what that meant. But that didn't mean I wanted it. As the king stood up, the crowd began to push past me as they went toward him. Clearly they thought he was going to greet them. His hazel eyes never lost mine. His gaze was firmly locked onto me. The air felt heavy as we stared at each other. It felt like there was no one else but us in this moment. Temporarily, I forgot about all my troubles. My heartbreak as I found myself lost high in the captivating hazel eyes. The connection was broken as more and more people moved in, causing Darius and Stella. I was by myself at the back. Only a few wolves remained here. Everyone wanted to see the king. Everyone but me. I was breathing heavy and racked my brain. Should I run? This is the perfect time to do so. I want to get another opportunity. My wolf protested, but I didn't listen. I ran outside. This time I ran past the bench and into the gardens. Shivers went down my spine as I heard a powerful roar. Shit. That was definitely King Aroo. Groaning, I rushed toward a row of bushes and sat down, catching my breath. Those movies where the female characters run in heels is false. You can't run in heels without tearing your feet off. It just wasn't possible. As I caught my breath, I heard the palace door fly open. My eyes widened, and I swallowed the lump in my throat. I was in trouble, and I knew it. My wolf was simply smug, like she knew this was going to happen. She'd probably like to see my struggle. How annoying. You can run. Little mate, but I'll always find you, a deep voice said, sending my wolf into a frenzy. He said it, that word that I was dreading. Mate. My mate was the king. Chapter 6. I mean, of all people, I had to be mated to the king. The same king that had been looking for a mate for 10 years. Why? I didn't want a mate, I'd need a mate. I am happy by myself. But for some reason a little voice inside my head told me that I would never have been completely happy. Holding my breath, I prayed that he wouldn't find me. I wasn't really religious. I found myself praying. All I wanted was for him not to find me, and then I can leave this ball. There was I was going to risk going back in there. I would go back to the hotel and tell my parents I was feeling so sick and had to leave. Yes, that was a solid plan. My thought process was broken when I was suddenly lifted from my position behind the bushes, swallowing the lump in my throat. I found myself standing face to face with the king, his hazel eyes piercing into my own. My heart started racing as he bent down and whispered in my ear, "Because now that I've found you, I have no plans on letting you go. Ever." Well, there was no denying this mate bond was strong. Stronger than I thought. The moment was broken as the king brushed a piece of hair out of my face. "Never in my life have I seen a girl as beautiful as you," the king whispered in my ear. Sparks shot down my body, and I gasped. Why were his words having such a big effect on me? This was normal. But then again, nothing about this situation was a NY way. The king was holding my hands behind my back as if he were afraid that I would run. "Scan with cam scanner, could you release my hands, please?" I managed to say. The king raised his eyebrows and replied, "How can I be sure that you want to run? As much as I love the chase, I don't really want to catch you again." I shivered at the desire in his eyes. As much as I tried to convince myself that the king wasn't drop-dead gorgeous, my body was saying otherwise. I found myself wanting to be caught by the king again. My mind was messed up. That was the only conclusion I could see too. "May I know the name of the beautiful lady who will be my queen?" The king asked Cade. "Do these compliments of yours work on all the ladies?" I replied, my sass getting the better of me. "I wouldn't know. You the first lady I have tried it on." The king responded, "Mere king at me." I forced myself to look away from his eyes, they were dangerous. The king, with his free hand, moved my face so I was again looking at his hazel eyes. He looked at me as if to say, "Tell me your name." And I sighed. Laxmi. Laxmi Kapoor. I relented and told him my name. Laxmi, the king said slowly. Geez, did he have to say my name like that? My body responded immediately to Tihat, and I felt sparks shoot down my spine. He sounded so when he said my Nami. No, Laxmi, you are not meant to be thinking like that. Snap out of it. I scolded myself. Beautiful name. You already know my name. Don't you? Love, he asked. I didn't trust my voice, so I just nodded. The pet name caught me by surprise. This was all happening fast. Too fast. I didn't know what to do, but something told me there was nothing I could do anyway. After all, I didn't have a normal werewolf for a mate or even a normal Lycan. I had the Lycan king. He was the strongest of them all. Whatever I would do. My logical brain told me the dreaded truth. There was no escaping the Lycan king now. I was here for good. The sound of footsteps caused me to spin my head around and the king let go of my hands. My family and friends all came out. I was relieved to see the familiar face of my loved ones. Reese and Elena both looked so relieved, and I knew why. I took a few steps toward them but jumped back in shock as they all bowed to me. What? I didn't want my loved ones to bow down to me. I was anti-royalty. Darius winked at me, causing me to roll my eyes. Obviously he finds this funny. I didn't have time to dwell on anything though. The king grabbed my hand, causing sparks to fly, and I gasped at the sudden contact. He didn't even stop for me to say anything to my family. Instead, he took me straight past them and inside. I looked behind TOC, they were all trailing behind. The king took me straight to the thrones. My heart started racing. What was he doing? I was going to be crowned. Was I? I hardly knew the king. My slow brain realized that Savannah was no longer at the top. And when we reached it, I saw her in the crowd below. She didn't look happy at all. My loyal subjects, today is a monumental occasion. Today I found my mate, your queen, and I couldn't be happier. The king announced, pulling me to his side. The announcement was followed by loud applause. My gaze found my parents, who were shedding happy tears. Karar was whooping, and Stella was telling him off. That caused me to smile. I glanced at all the Lycans, who all were tensed before. They were all much happier and seemed like there was a weight lifted off their shoulders. This all felt so wrong but also so right. Why was I so conflicted? I looked around, but I couldn't see Luna anywhere. Where was she? Worry took over as I kept glancing through the crowds. She really wasn't there. What is wrong? The king whispered in my ear. I looked up at him, and he must have seen the worry on my face. He looked back at the crowd and smiled before taking me away. I realized that I didn't actually know what to call him. He smiled at me and replied, Only you can call me Apollo. Only you have that right. I gulped as the air again became suffocating. I found myself wanting to run my hot NDS through his hair and taste those luscious lips of his. Come, let me introduce you to some very important people in my life. Apollo sighed, taking my hand. We headed downstairs and everyone was chatting among themselves. Well, what do we have here, my thoughts? An unfamiliar voice interrupted. I didn't even realize that Apollo had brought us to a group of people. Taman Luke at us both with massive smiles on their faces. One of them stepped forward and smiled. He had dark brown hair. It looked black. His dark brown eyes shone with happiness. I am Miles Grant. I can't tell you how happy I am that this idiot has finally met you. Miles shook my hand. I politely smiled, and Apollo shook his head. These are my best friends. Miles already introduced himself. And that one over there is Beckett Davis. Nice to meet you. Beckett shook my hand. His blonde hair was long for a boy it realized suited him. A female came in front too. She had shoulder-length red hair, and her blue eyes stood out. She was gorgeous. I am Olivia Robinson, Beckett's mate. I have to say you look so gorgeous. Olivia smiled. Thank you. I love your outfit, I replied. Do you know that us three have been friends for such a long time? Sometimes I wonder how I have dealt with these two. Miles sighed dramatically. Apollo rolled his eyes, and Beckett glared at Miles. It is the other way around. Idiot. I don't know how Beckett and I have put up with you. The amount of times we've gotten into trouble because of you. Apollo shook his head. I glanced at Apollo, who had a massive smile on his face, even though we had just met. For some reason, seeing him smile like that made me so happy. This mate bond was doing crazy things to my feelings. I swear. Even I struggle to believe that these two have put up with you for so long. I mean, Becca and I have only been mates for 7 years, but that is enough to know what a handful you are. Olivia shook her head. Miles gasped dramatically. What is this? Gang up on Miles' time. You embarrassing me in front of the Queen. The mention of Queen made me stiffen. I didn't want to be Queen. That was to UCH responsibility. And how could I commit to one person after the heartbreak I experienced? Enough. You are the one who is embarrassing yourself. Go and make sure every Oni is happy. I am going to meet my mate Tess' family, Apollo said. His serious face as back on. Miles and Beckett nodded and left to fulfill the king's orders. Apollo gently took my hand. Those damn sparks made me gasp. Was this what it was always going to be like? I don't know how he knew. But Apollo made his way over to my parents. As soon as Mom saw me, she engulfed me in a massive hug. A mother's hug makes everything better. Why are you crying? I asked, wiping the tears from my mom's face. Because I am so happy. My baby girl has found her mate. Someone who will take such good care of her. What else could a mother want? My mom sniffled. She turned to Apollo and smiled. All I want is for you to take care of my daughter. Treat her like a queen. Apollo nodded and replied, Don't worry. Your daughter will always remain happy. Wow, my princess is no longer a princess but a queen. I can't believe it. My dad winked. Dad. I rolled my eyes. He laughed and hugged me before saying, Relax me. I want you to know that your mother and I are so proud of the woman you have become. You are now entering the next stage of your life. Enjoy it. Dad's words made me want to cry as I realized it was his goodbye. I didn't want to leave my parents and stay here. I wanted to go back home to my comfy room. I'll miss you. My baby sister. Dev was the next one to hug me. Will you? Or will you just miss teasing me? I raised my eyebrows. Dev laughed. You caught me. I am going to miss teasing you and getting you all arcade up. Arya pulled me in for a hug. I told you she looked like a queen. Relax me. You are an amazing woman. Never forget that. This isn't fair. I've only just come back and now you're leaving me. Smiley. Carter's voice came from behind. You now have a mate to take care of you. I smiled. Darius sighed and pulled me in for a hug. I tried my hardest not to cry. This was how I planned my night to go. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I would find my mate at the ball and have to say goodbye to all my loved ones. You know I'll take care of him. Stella smiled. Cure, I know. He better take good care of you too. I glared at Darius. He held his hands up in mock surrender. Yes, your majesty. I shook my head. I didn't say anything wrong. You are going to be a queen and an amazing one at hat. Darius kissed my forehead. It all felt so strange. Everyone from my pack was gathering around me and congratulating me. Suddenly, my eyes landed on Cade. He wasn't smiling at all, and his mate was talking to someone else. All night. It seemed like he'd been pretending that I didn't even exist. But the while he was staring at me now made my heartbeat quicken and my breath catch in my throat. Now that everyone knew I had a mate the freaking king. No less, he had an unmistakable glint in his eye. A look of pure jealousy. Oh goddess. That's when I knew I was in a whole lot of trouble.